السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Masjid Carpark podcast, episode 71, where life has been normal and boring and not much has been happening.
Alhamdulillah.
Wow. What a week.
Alhamdulillah.
What a crazy, crazy week.
So Alhamdulillah.
There was this minutes, what do you do? Minute silence for the podcast or what?
No, we, as you probably know, for those who might have appreciated or not appreciated, our Urdu skills in the last two recordings.
We've had some feedbacks.
Yeah, so notably, once someone said about, what did he say? I have to mention this
The
comment.
colonial mindset.
Yeah, that we are, no, I have to read it.
We're not embarrassed about speaking in Urdu. We were embarrassed with our Urdu.
We were embarrassed of
Oh,
how...
no, I was embarrassed with
We're
his
not
Urdu.
embarrassed.
My Urdu is amazing.
Yeah, people comment on how bad... because we apologize at the start. We're trying to be respectful. We're not apologizing for speaking Urdu. We're apologizing because we can't speak Urdu.
No, you can't.
I can't
My
speak
Urdu is
Urdu.
amazing.
Yeah,
I've
yours
got
amazing.
feedback where
Yeah, I
people are
heard
like,
yours, mashallah.
I've had feedback where I should be teaching in an
And-
Urdu university in Pakistan.
Yeah, so someone,
no, I didn't.
so there's some criticism, and that we have like this guy. I don't know what he was on, but he goes, "We have a slavery mindset. Even white people are applauded as being multilingual." What are you going on about? Like, what are you talking about? Like, we have a
No. Look,
slavery-
I actually do understand where this brother's coming from, brother or sister, whoever it is coming from, because we do have this thing in the subcontinent of my child's got to speak English, or he speaks English very
But that's
well.
not what we're apologizing
No,
for.
but maybe that he misunderstood.
Have you looked at the way we dress? This is how we dress
no.
when we live in Australia and walk in the streets
maybe
in the
he
most widest
no.
suburb. We don't care about.
But maybe he misunderstood.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's give
Or
the
she.
benefit of the doubt. Or
Okay.
she, husna zan,
Yeah.
70 times, make
Be
excuses
proud
for
of
your
it.
Muslim
Don't be
brother.
ashamed of it. No, I'll be shamed because I can't speak Urdu properly.
No, don't be ashamed of it. Like
I don't have shame. I did a podcast
Listen,
with one of the
I will
most
teach you, young Padawan.
yeah, Quran and khurma. I eat khurma and I
Look,
read
he's getting cut
Quran.
now. He's getting
The
cut.
qaf becomes a khad. That's a Hyderabadi.
So you were saying we did a podcast with, mashallah.
we did two actually.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Just a synopsis. We were very nervous. I was very nervous.
was too.
To pull it off was actually
A lot
alhamdulillah.
had to happen.
Yeah, and
Like a lot of logistical.
yeah, to get it just
wrangling and
right
dangling had to happen.
and to get him into the timing slot and but mashallah, one thing you got to give it to him, he's a professional. He's
He
a
is.
professional. I was
He's a
listening.
class act.
I was listening to his our question and answer session that we had, the last one that we released, 70.1.
Here we
And
go.
that was his idea, 70.1. I stole it, but 70.1. He, I'll just
Are you on
list.
the defensive right now? with
I
your
was,
arms
yeah, I should change gears. But the 70.1, the Q&A session, which is Masail people are sent in.
folded? Out bush. That was the best part of it.
Well, it was on the coast, it's not really bush, but
It was
anyway,
bush.
Outback technically is inland.
No, not outback. I said out bush.
Yeah, I know.
There's a
but it
difference.
wasn't.
We
yeah.
had to drive through a dirt track,
Okay, fair enough.
over a bridge,
It's next to the sea, but anyway.
and next to the ocean
The
and a river.
so we had a really good time, Mufti Saab. I think he enjoyed it as well. But even that night after we went camping, it was a cold night, windy, and it wasn't.
It was
wasn't comfortable.
stormy. It was raining.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable. We had a barbecue in the rain, and we tried to have a fire, but it was raining, so some things didn't go quite right. But it was overall good. Despite that night being disruptive and so forth, the way he switches on
And he handled himself.
in that podcast and answers Masail of Deen, which is a serious matter, number one.
Yeah.
Number two, and then to do it articulately, like he's really, really
And in
polished.
depth.
And he offered some insights into those Masail. But anyway,
But even
but for us, it was like way out of our comfort zone for this podcast because we just waste your time every week for an hour.
well, speak for yourself, Sheikh Khalid.
And we sort of update you what's happening in the thing and try to offer some insights into maybe from a Dini perspective as well sometimes. But with him, it was like a different kettle of fish. Like
Look, I think overall, no, not really, man. Because we've had other people in the past.
we've
I
had
didn't
Mufti
feel like
Abdurrahman,
I
we've
was
had
chilled. I
Sheikh-
was just like chilled. The only thing that got me was when we were at the start with the Urdu thing.
Yeah.
Because the practice isn't there.
Yeah.
But once we got into it was fine.
Well, it was him speaking for an hour, and we were just saying GG, which means yes.
I didn't say Gigi. I
I
asked
think
questions.
if you listen to
and he did call you fat.
Yeah, because I called him old, and he fired back with that zinger.
Wow.
Yeah,
Bit
but
below the belt there.
I will take that as a badge
above the
of
belt.
honor.
Or around
that
the
I
belt.
got insulted by Mufti Tariq Masood.
And I tried to keep it going, but he wouldn't let me. But we all know this.
And you're dealing with we realize, you're not just dealing with a sheikh, you're dealing with a quote unquote celebrity.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Forget about the celebrity.
Yeah.
Forget about the professionalism. All of these things. Your conversations, we don't want to know what they were with the one-on-one. How much did you benefit? So I suppose this is almost a podcast where I'm asking you questions.
Yeah.
But give me an example. Like, give me some sort of example without delving into the, the private details of you being fat. But
I think it was not just conversation with him, just traveling with him, because I went to Sydney. I was translating for his programs, and I was organising the program. In
That's
Sydney
what I'm
as well.
talking about.
So it was one of the highlights, or was a brother. He was giving a talk, and then in the middle of the talk, there's a brother who lives in Sydney that he met in 2005 in his mosque.
19 years ago.
Yeah, it was almost 20 years ago. But at that time, hardly anybody listened to him. He was not on social media.
Okay.
I don't think he even started. There was no audio recording of his talks.
So where did he meet this guy?
So he was at his mosque, like he performed his nikah or
Sydney?
something. No, in Karachi.
Oh,
This
wow.
Afghan guy. So he remembered him from 20 years ago. He goes, "Are you so and so?"
Wow.
And the guy said, "Yes." He goes, "Don't go. Come after and see me afterwards." Like he remembered him from 20 years ago. He goes, "Are you so and so from 2005?" Or something like that. He said.
That's a phenomenal memory.
Yeah, and then that guy, that brother, like, get to spend time with him as well and got to know him as well. Nice guy, and he said, we were at some big shot's house in Sydney or somewhere, and he's sitting next to me. Goes, in 20 years, so before all the video and the fame. I mean, just so you know, I mentioned celebrity. What I meant celebrity is like
me.
Like there's like 460,000 videos on YouTube of him.
I don't have that.
Clipped and so forth. And 41,000 channels that people have just made of his stuff related to his content. It's just like,
wow.
Okay.
41,000?
Yeah. People have just made like different like little
make money off
They
him.
make, people make their own like
Piggyback off him.
shorts and
like you're doing.
But anyway, he, like as we're doing now, we're creating content about Mufti Tariq Masood. But, and that brother said, like shockingly said, he goes, he hasn't changed in 20 years. That was like him. That amazed me.
Wow.
Like I'm giving a small insight. MashaAllah protect him. And but he said, his demeanor, the way he deals with people, the way he talks to people, he goes, he's exactly the same 20 years ago. Like he hasn't changed.
MashaAllah.
And 20 years.
You know what I find interesting as well, like through this whole process, is his detractors. It's like you guys don't know him.
I appreciate.
This is not in
it's the two
defense,
extremes.
but
The love hearts that we've got. It's love. There's a lot of love, mashallah.
Please, brother. There's nothing wrong with love. You need to watch Austin Powers.
It's just that we're not used to other.
You're not used to love. Just ask his kids. Just ask his kids.
You don't know how much love they get. Anyway, so the love hearts that are look at that. Like one will be love heart, the next one like will be just insulting him. The next one will be, and I have to delete some of the page of the YouTube channel, like just to clean it. But just it's funny. Okay, then there'll be some like atheists will come.
Put your phone away. We're doing a podcast.
There'll be another. I'm just showing to you the love hearts.
But you don't need to.
So you were saying about how he triggers certain people.
Yeah, he does trigger certain people. But what I'm trying to understand is when you delve deep into the trigger, I don't think these people that are getting triggered have actually thought through the process of why is this guy annoying me? Yeah. Am I annoyed by this guy because he's saying something wrong genuinely, or is it because I feel like he's personally attacking me or attacking my status quo or attacking my lifestyle or what's around me? I think there's a confluence of these two things. Because it can't be, if you're coming from the point of view of this guy doesn't have any knowledge and he doesn't understand, then you're wrong.
Yeah.
So there can only be one other thing, right? Because the amount of, and this is not because of, he's Mufti Tariq Masood, but this is because of his credentials, his teachers, where he studied, all those years that he's put in. The guy knows his stuff.
Yeah, mashallah. That's
right? Mashallah.
that in terms of his fiqh, obviously
it's very strong. I found that it was very strong.
Anbiya are only divinely protected from mistakes, but like his jurisprudence, his fiqh, his understanding of masail issues and rulings is solid. He's a solid mufti. He's not a like he got a qualification of a mufti and now he gives motivational talks. He works in Darul Ifta in Jamiat Rashid in the like
researching,
researching and writing fatwas. Like that's part of his job, right? So we mentioned it before about knowing a mufti is only one sort of facet, which is speeches, and then the people that like some of the comments that they attack, like this guy, because they haven't listened to actually a whole speech. Like a friend of mine called me, so Hafiz in Melbourne, and he said,
"You've got friends?"
Yeah, so a brother, I call him a friend. I don't know if he thinks, but he called me. He said one of his friends said that I didn't like him. One guy went to his talk not liking him.
Yeah, I've had that,
and he came out of it liking him.
Wow.
Yeah, he goes like, I was wrong because. So, the comedians, there's a lot of those things because he makes a lot of jokes, right? And there's a joke. I might repeat it. We can delete it if you want. But he said the guy the guy that gets married. It's an Urdu joke, and he goes the first night, because when you're married, so there's a he and then there's a she, right? And when the guy marries, because there's a he, and then he goes, if he marries 2 wives, it's a he. And then when there's 4 wives, there's he. I don't know where.
That's such a bad joke. Or you
whatever.
stuffed it up.
But anyway, I'm just someone sent that to me. Mufti Haris sent that to me actually.
Okay.
Anyway.
Now you just dropped him in the deep end.
Yeah, sorry, Mufti Haris. But anyway, it was a joke.
You cannot edit this out.
Okay. But
well done,
this friend, so there's all these comments.
See, that would have sounded funny if Mufti Haris said it.
Probably, but I should have read it. But anyway,
sorry.
So people are sending these, the comedian, someone personally sent a message, like someone I know. The comedian said like, maybe you haven't listened to a whole talk from beginning to end. So like in Sydney, he gave a nearly 2-hour talk in Masjid Noor. Like, obviously there are some jokes and things in there, but in an hour and in a 2
to be funny, it's just
he says that. He goes, when there's things to laugh about, we'll laugh about, and when there's things to cry about, we'll cry about. But he said that in a 2-hour talk, there maybe is like 15, 20 minutes of sort of like humor. And that's to lighten the gathering and so forth and make people.
But I don't even know if it's that. I think it's just natural. That's his personality.
Exactly. That's what it's. The point is that if you clip out the 20 minutes and then you clip out and you've only seen like 100 clips of him making jokes.
That's right.
Your perception of him is just a comedian.
And he's a very serious man.
And he's got a extremely.
He's got a very serious.
Yeah, we saw that.
He's got an extremely.
We saw that he's got
a very serious side.
Yeah. So people don't
and a very serious research side.
Yeah,
and self-education.
Yeah, I mean, someone sent a comment about when the Q&A about the marriage in the extended family, and obviously because there's a whole thing in many Western societies. I think maybe some countries illegal. It's not. I don't think it's illegal in Australia marrying cousins.
It's not.
But then there's like a whole debate about intermarriage,
genetic mutations.
It causes defects in babies and so forth, and basically a lot of that is not true. But the thing is that it's so less. What they generally advise is now,
but it's out there.
It's updated in what the professors are saying. Like they're saying, look, you can do it. It's fine. I think like the classic example is given. Einstein did it.
Did what?
Married his cousin.
Did he?
Yeah. So he's you can do it, but don't overdo it. Don't overdo it. But wallahu alam. But like he was actually sitting with a researcher in genetics, a PhD,
for hours.
Yeah, I was actually shocked at the notes he was taking to study, like to understand the issue from a specialist of the field. Right.
So I think the main thing to say in this is before you criticize someone, try and understand who you're criticizing. That's really important.
My father, rahmatullah alayhi, I asked him about one alim. I think it's Imam Suyuti, rahmatullah, great alim from 400 years ago. I asked him a question because some strange statements attributed to him. So he goes, study the whole work, the written work of somebody, and then form an opinion on that. Then form an opinion on that person. Study study all the books of that person.
Yep. Then
form an opinion. Then you understand what this alim is about, and then place that opinion or whatever statement that he made among his all his works. Right, I've got to take this call quickly.
Wow.
Sorry, apologies.
Wow.
No, there's a brother outside waiting, and I'll cut this out, inshallah.
You better not cut this out.
Yeah. Salam.
So while he's taking this
the
call.
books at the entrance. Okay, no worries. Assalamu alaikum. I'll send you the.
He's making money doing
Okay,
the
no
podcast.
worries.
I'll send
No
you my
worries.
personal
Assalamu
bank
alaikum.
details. Transfer $3 million. Or your kid gets it.
Yeah, inshallah, we'll send all that.
Inshallah, we'll send him back in one piece. I was just translating for our audience.
Sorry, really. Brothers are right downstairs to pick up some
Mashallah.
books.
Mashallah.
So you place the alim within a context and among his whole repertoire's work, then you'll understand what this statement means. Else, you got to take the statement with a pinch of salt. This is not a representation of this alim's whole understanding. And
Like somebody said about Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanwi rahmatullah alayhi, in a comment about some negative stuff.
And he didn't.
Right? And it's like, dude, have you read this guy's books?
Yeah.
I haven't read them. So I'm not going to comment that way. But from what I've heard from ulama that I know,
Yeah.
he was pretty impressive. He was a good bloke.
Yeah. Most of them are pretty good blokes, these imams.
Mashallah.
But anyway, same thing with him. I think like that brother, he changed his view. And similarly, brothers have made. So once people they'll attack him being funny. Some people are just so boring, and we enjoy because we've had so many serious sheikhs that we listen to and pious people that's so serious they never joke. We got those type of people. So the other with Mufti Saab's that was one thing that people criticize his jokes, which is kind of weird. All right.
And then criticizing.
But I can understand, if that's the only thing you've seen, then you understand is that. Then there's the other one, the typical sort of knee-jerk, I would say almost subcontinent disdain for madrasas and mullahs, ulama. Yeah, I get it. Not every alim is good. Like Mufti Tariq Masood himself said, not every alim, because you're an alim doesn't automatically make you a good person. You have to do good actions, right? There's alims that can do bad actions.
Yep.
But the thing is, we have in the upper middle class, there is a disdain.
But that's from the colonial mindset.
Exactly. They put a hatred.
That 100%.
Yeah,
That one
hatred
is
of ulama,
definitely from the
madrasas,
colonial mindset.
because most madrasa ulama are poor.
But they've been made poor.
Huh? They
Because
created.
during the Khilafah. They were the wealthiest people, one of the wealthiest, because they got paid well.
Yeah.
But these guys now,
I think, not Khilafah. In India, we didn't have Khilafah. We had the Mughal Empire. So the Mughal Empire,
during my Khilafah,
civil servants were paid, ulama paid double what a civil servant
there
paid.
you go.
That's the appreciation of the work they're doing. Hence, but then there was a process of, you get high quality ulama and people, they would send the best to become alims instead of working for the government. So
instead of, the madrasa wasn't a backup plan.
yeah, so I'd say there is those few, and they criticize. I get it. People can do scams in the name of deen. Sometimes in our own families, we've been victims of that, where people have scams, being victims of scams, of religious scams, right? That's happens. There's in the guise of ulama and so forth, and people can cheat people out of money. That's happened. That happens in this country. That happens by imams. That can happen from anybody, right?
Yeah.
And it's worst when it's done by in the religious guise, because you're taking the image of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the image of piety, and then you're doing wrong with it. Of course, that's even worse. But you can't just chuck that insult out to every alim in the world.
Take out the baby with the bathwater.
You can't lay just as a reflex action. You throw the accusation out to every single alim. Yeah, nobody's saying that the ulama are ma'soom. Nobody's saying that they can't make mistakes. Nobody's saying that no alim can do wrong. But if you come with the attitude that every alim is automatically wrong and he's corrupt, well, that's not true, Some have to be good, So if you don't know...
Which one are you, Maulana?
Yeah.
Are you a corrupt one or are you a good one? Tell us right now in the Masjid Carpark podcast. You heard it here, folks.
Allah forgive me, make dua for my maghfirat, and that's a weird thing to say to me. Now I'm going to defend. I'm a good Bali. It's a weird place to be.
I prayed Fajr today. Did you pray Fajr?
So anyway,
I prayed all my 5 salats today.
So Jazakallah khair. Whatever that was. But anyway, to put that accusation is insulting another Muslim brother in public and criticizing. I think for some people, I think there's a lot of from the comments I can see there's a lot of jealousy.
You know what I can? As we say in Australia, Get over yourself, mate.
Yeah. I think there's a
That's it.
The guy gets invited here by a friend, right?
Yeah.
Who hosts him, takes him around.
By a friend, by a mate.
By a friend,
Actual mate.
actual friend, stays at his house,
Yeah.
right?
It's not like he's in a 5-star hotel.
And listen to this, like all the programs that he does for free, right? In Australia.
And he doesn't sleep because every man and his dog wants to take a photo.
Yeah, and we have to I upset a lot of people in this thing because everybody wants to have a khususi mulaqat, special meeting.
Dude, what about the time when you were coming to my house and he got followed?
Yeah, we
to
got
the front
20
of my
minutes got
house.
followed to the house by somebody. And
Random.
on the way, I had like a suspicion. I said like we should I was freaking. There's like in the movies like we should
Here we
lose
go.
it. We
Here we
should.
go.
It actually. I thought
Mission Impossible
And I said,
with
don't be,
Sheikh Khaled.
and then I thought, don't be stupid. Like, and when you got down his house, guys jump out of the car to take selfies.
Yeah, I was just like,
This is after a program and after midnight. Right?
hours.
Yeah. So these people are followed like for half an hour.
And then tahajjud, and then all the night amal or whatever they do. So there's not much sleep at night as it is.
Yeah. So firstly, the programs, and then there's fights that are happening of people and people getting upset and crying on the phone. And because mashallah and barik alayhi, like
Mashallah.
people lives have changed from his speeches and so forth. And, you know, like they've repeatedly said it to him as well. Because I've been listening to for 5 years, 10 years. And it's like that podcast thing, right? It's that listening to somebody you've been watching.
Anyone's life
Somebody's watching you for like a decade or something. Like if you've been watching somebody.
70.1 episodes.
You know, like I had a friend who went to a cricketer, like what's it, Greg Chappell, yeah, or some one of them, you know, like he said, you really affected my life, you know. And the thing is, like, he's a cricketer, he's been playing cricket, and he probably inspired him in some way, but the guy doesn't know you, and that's the thing that these people, millions are probably affected by him, and he doesn't know them, but he's not ungrateful for it, but like. If every person that is affected by him, and they were calling me constantly because my number was, and this is Salim Bhai, Shaji, mashallah. Allah
You're going to now throw him under the bus?
No, what he did was because I said my number was underneath and his one was above, I put above. And he said, no, put your one's above, your alim, this and that. And I was like, stupid, yeah, I guess so. I'll put mine on top. And then, so when everybody calls, where they're going to go the first
number? And not just that, remember he said whenever he got a call, he'd be like, I don't know. Mujhe pata nahi hai, Sheikh Khalid se pucho. I don't know. Ask Sheikh Khalid.
He directed towards me, and there's so I asked forgiveness if anybody's listening.
Is he becoming a fanboy of Mufti Saab podcast? Sounds a bit like it.
So to ask for forgiveness from all the people that I had to upset, and everybody wants to invite him for dawat. There's a guy came and he actually met him, and mashallah, but like for dawat, like it's a 4 hours trip, like round trip. To go in, and the brother was like, so mashallah, the love is real, the people benefit, their life changing is real. It's a real thing.
The way he said it was he appreciates every single person that comes up to him. But the thing is, the love that they show is according to their comforts, more or less.
Yeah.
The love they show now is not according to his comfort. That's the best way I can translate it. It's a really loose translation, so don't quote me on it.
Yeah, and I'll give you an example of it. In Epping, when he was giving the lecture, and he's making dua, and everybody's jumping and pushing in front. While he's still making dua, finishing the gathering, they're like pushing. And I'm the one, Mufti Anas told me afterwards, he goes, were you the one that was shouting at people to get back? and he goes, like, yeah, that was me. But they were like trying, and they're asking him questions while he's making dua. Mufti Saab, is the hand slaughtered chicken?
No way.
Yeah, like while he's making dua,
hand chicken.
He's like this, his hands are like, you know, like he's trying, and that was not nicely done. So I get it, people have love. And they have genuine love for him, and they genuinely benefit from him, and they want like to connect with him on a fiqhi or masala
do people
basis.
do that with you?
No, they don't.
Guys, he's right here.
So,
don't cast a mosque.
Just leave me alone. I'm not Mufti Saab. I'm not nice like him. But he like, so people because they've listened probably for a decade. And they benefited from him, and they probably changed their lives, and now he's there. They just like somehow want to connect with him. But the guy's hands are up in the air, he's making dua, and you're like putting your hand and like trying to shake his hand while he's making dua.
Yeah.
Like the emotional, the connection, the synopsis is
It's like during the time with the Beatles when the Beatles were performing.
cutting that out.
No, you can't.
No,
What are you cutting
that's
that out
terrible.
for?
No, that's a
It's an
terrible.
analogy.
You
No.
got to filter, man. You got to filter in your brain. You need to put a little filter, at least a little filter, like a little
That is
one.
not a terrible analogy.
No, that's a terrible
That
analogy.
is such a good analogy.
No.
You need to leave this whole conversation there
that
and
is-
let our subscribers
that
in
that
comments
analogy is
say
not.
if that was a good
It's getting
analogy
cut.
or bad.
It's getting cut. I'm
No,
sorry.
You can't.
So anyway, where were we?
So we've just missed an awesome analogy that I just gave.
Yeah.
If it's not in here, Maulana Khalid's cut it. In your comments, I would like our subscribers to write whether Maulana Khalid should be censoring me or not. You better leave that bit in there.
It was highly inappropriate.
It was not.
Anyway, let's get back to so mashallah, the program was good. The thing, but all the programs are free. So the people that are getting upset, people are cashing in on things. No, if you wanted to, like the most question that I got, is there a fee for it? Usually Pakistanis, obviously.
Yeah, mashallah.
Fee, no fee. I think I've answered that question
If
maybe
you
like
charge
1,000
$100
times.
a head, you'd be doing all right. If
$10, $10. I mean, that's just
book out MCG or something.
yeah. Like he could. The love that is there is genuine, and mashallah, like Allah's gifted him. But it was public. They were shocked. There was a public program. There's a place for sisters. Every program make sure there's
Mashallah.
place for sisters. There's translation for sisters
Here
as
we
well
go.
as translation for brothers.
Reminds me
Yeah.
of a certain podcast we did where we got smashed by the sisters.
Yeah, so but mashallah, like he Allah reward him, and inshallah will come back again and again.
Ameen.
And
Ameen.
there's so much more.
He does
things
have
that
intention to come back, and we could talk for hours right now.
Yeah,
But now it just sounds like a Mufti Sab fanboy thing. It was it was just a decompression for everyone to understand that it was a crazy week.
Yeah.
It was a whirlwind of a week, and it
Yeah.
was a crazy week.
yeah, alhamdulillah.
Mashallah. ICJ ruling.
Yeah,
something more
last thing.
somber?
I think one thing we sort of haven't talked about, and
Not that it hasn't been in our minds.
yeah,
Like, what would you say to, there was one thing, just going back to the comment of this is happening in Palestine and you're just traveling around everywhere. And the response was really good by someone.
Mm,
They said, open up a way for him to get there, we'll go there.
mm. Yeah, I think telling people to not do what they're doing while somebody's doing something that is benefiting millions, and to tell them not to talk about it. Yeah, he will use his platform, but 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like, for example, yesterday we started Maktab. We have to teach children classes. Tonight we're teaching adult classes. Tomorrow I'll be in madrasa teaching. So, and then every Jummah for the last 4 months, in some shape or form, something is done and something is said
And it's
regarding
not that we
regarding Palestine, about Gaza. Whether it be donations, whether it be food being sold, the awareness is constantly that this is not something. But I warned right at the beginning that this is for the long haul. You need to do this. Keep at it.
doing everything else.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like life doesn't stop. I think what it is for other people, they might be doing something for Palestine. If they're not doing anything and criticizing someone who's doing some other thing good, then that's like really bad. But if they're doing some Palestine, right, and then you're comparing, and that's a work of deen, like helping the Ummah and Muslims. Another Muslim doing another work of deen, right, like especially if they're doing it full time, then it would seem that they're ignoring Palestine and so
Yeah.
forth. But I don't think Mufti Saab has. I think he has given talks
I don't
about it.
think
And any khatib, any speaker cannot ignore about it. And they've talked about it. So like these sort of low blows, and yeah, these are not helpful in any way. And we are like, while they are hungry, we are eating in our countries. So like, do you understand? Like the people who criticize did you stop eating? Did you stop, to be fully in unison with them? Obviously not. But you have time to go on the phone and to type a message to text somebody who is doing, it might be not, it's a very simple solution. Switch it off. If you don't like somebody's speech or somebody's activity, right, you can criticize if it's haram, but if he's just doing something that is mundane and so forth, and he's spending time on that, wallahu alam, in my opinion, I think like the world, like everything else has to go on. Along with that, we have to deal, like in Burma, there's Muslim suffering. In India, there's places Muslims are suffering.
India's getting pretty bad.
China, Muslims are suffering. And, there's a list of grievances of Muslims and problems of Muslims. We don't, and in Palestine, obviously, and in Syria, and on and on and on. Yeah, we look, the list is quite long. There's 10 sort of big ones happening simultaneously, and in Yemen and so forth. And these are serious matters. But like, what do you, like, what do we do? We can do whatever our brothers and sisters, like in our mosque, for example, there are brothers and sisters actively working on the Palestine issue, whether it be charitable works, whether it be, on a political level. There's different people doing different things. The ones doing charitable works should not be criticized, like by the ones that are doing the political work, right? This is not
everyone's. Everyone's got a bit of it.
Yeah. So
speaking of Yemenis, man, those Houthis, man.
Yeah.
You got to give it up to them. They do not care.
Yeah.
Like, mashallah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, they are actually, they brought into focus, and they're the only ones that
young girl saying, do whatever you want. There's no fear. There isn't even 1% fear. In this interview during one of the marches.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that was phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, the Yemenis, I'm not sure about the Houthis, but the Yemenis themselves, they are impressive. I mean,
what's the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam about them?
Iman is Yemeni, Hikmat is Yemeni. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's amazing that the people at the bottom of the
I know what Iman
at the bottom of the index of GDP, like the poorest of the poor,
they have been bombed for the last.
The ones that don't have anything,
non-stop.
they can speak at the loudest, and the ones that are like the most GDP at the top end, the richest Muslims, they're quiet. And
like
they worry about trade, or they do some chest beating, or they say some things, but the reality is they're still doing business.
Like Turkey.
Yeah. Which is like a weird one, it brought that into focus. Like, it's like, okay, like, are you that much business you're doing? Like,
it's pretty full on. There's a lot of trade going in between the
tens
two
of billions. Like, wow, like that's a lot. That's a lot of business, like to pretend, but then to talk high, like, so how do you justify that? You can't justify it. So there's all these people, like the reality of people has been brought into focus, like,
and the hypocrisy of the world.
Yeah.
This rules-based order that we kept being told about, international law, all of these human rights, the Charter of Human Rights, all of these things that we have been, thrown at us for the last 50 to 70 years.
Yeah,
is now. Especially, there's this awareness within the global south, as they call it.
Yeah.
Is like, no, this means absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want.
It's only been good there while they were well off, and they were now that
everyone else was oppressed.
Yeah. Now that everybody's rising, like these countries are rising up, and
GDP, wealth-wise, education-wise.
The clause, like the grip is getting looser. They're starting.
The reality is coming out, and they're starting to go, wait.
And I listen to Scott Ritter and all these people, like even geopolitically, even militarily, like for example, in the Yemen situation, where basically the one of the most expensive and useless piece of equipment is a battleship today.
Yeah,
like it's absolutely useless because one rocket can basically one mine can take it out
with modern day. With one day,
and he goes
$2,000 missile.
Yeah, and that's what's happening. Like drones are now like changed the whole game. So like $2,000 drones are like being, and they're just shooting drones constantly. Like to shoot one drone down, they need to use like a guided
$20 million missile.
Yeah,
sorry, a $2 million missile.
So it's like an expensive like, and they keep and they send like a whole. In the Americans send whole ships, and so. But the thing is, it's going to be.
I think more than even this warfare, ships, drones, whatever, the reality of, and this is what surprises me. How can, we have people from the subcontinent still discussing the secular rules-based order and all of these things of the West. Mate, it only works if you're the victor.
Yeah.
And if you're on top.
Yeah.
Then it looks all rosy. But when other countries are rising, everybody's going, wait, this is not what we thought. Yeah. Even within Australia, with our own politicians.
Yeah.
We thought certain people, and this is what disappointed me the most, is we expected certain things from certain people.
Yeah.
No one's perfect, and politicians will be politicians.
Yeah.
But to this extent, this is what shattered my illusions.
No, but the thing is that we assumed, like we have assumptions about the political system. So we generally think Labor in Australia. This is
is every man's.
It's left, and it's for the blue collar and so forth. And then the right is more business owners, and it's the top end of town and so forth.
And the Greens are just in their own little world.
But before their loyalty to a party or a segment of society to get the votes, they're loyal to the order that is running this country. Right? They will keep this country going as it was a colonial outpost at one point, and that cannot be compromised. You cannot bring down the system that created the system that you operate in. Yeah, you can play this game inside of it, but you cannot like like it's like a sport, like tennis, right? You gotta hit the ball in the court, like within the lines. You can't hit it outside. So they will play to maintain the game.
Okay.
They have to maintain the game. They cannot. Doesn't matter what they are. They will not break the game because the game keeps everyone looking at and focus onto the.
But do you think the Greens have hit outside the lines a
No,
few
they
times
haven't.
now?
They tried to expand
At the start.
they tried to, but ultimately they are part of one system. You know, so to say there's no two systems in Australia. The Labor, Liberal, Greens, all of them, and what's her name, Pauline Hanson, they're all part of one system. So within that system, there's like
checks and balances to make sure the system runs the way it should.
There's no system in it that to overhaul the system or to change it because they believe that they're correct.
Well,
They believe the Security Council is correct, and they believe the International Court is correct, and they believe not all of them actually, not all have signed up to International Court of Justice. So that ultimately that game has to be maintained as it is. So they cannot tear it down too much. They can like make amendments to it.
This is not about the game. This is not about the game. The game has changed. Like you said, okay, fine, play tennis within these lines.
Yeah.
We're not playing tennis anymore. The rest of the world is not playing tennis. And they're pretending they're playing tennis.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So this is not about the order or change the system. I'm not saying bring down the Westminster
No, but the thing, the
system
system is there to make sure certain things will happen. That the what was the colonizer, who have just become like these modern states, right? That they stay the way they are, and those in charge of it, they inherit. The next generation inherits. It doesn't matter if you're brown or black in that system, like Sunak or
all of them, Braverman,
or
Haley.
Yeah, all of these in the US or the vice president. Yeah, all of these
Harris.
guys. They've been like.
There's a few Indians out there.
They're a product of the of that system. They've been thoroughly trained, so they are not there to turn the things upside down. They talk about removing the corruption or draining the swamp. It's still the swamp. They will not change. They will not change the swamp. It will still stay the same. So this is the thing that, and it's across the board.
I think general population, most people have woken up to this, saying this system, this does not represent us.
But it doesn't mean anything. What the average person does,
the only way. Next election,
no. The elections will not change anything.
What do you think will change?
A revolution. Yeah, that's
how.
Yeah, I'm not talking about I'm going to do the revolution. I'm just saying that's the only way these things. Whether you think they're a good revolution or a bad revolution, that's not the point. To completely
overhaul the system,
to change trajectory and to restart, then you need like a complete like clean slate. The only thing that in history that we know that does that is a revolution. Nothing else does that. Whether it be in China, the revolution, the communist revolution. Yeah, we can say
I have to disagree.
We can say it's wrong. It can overhaul the whole system.
Yeah, but people can overhaul the whole system even politically.
It's called a revolution.
No, bro, I'm not talking about revolution. You're talking about getting rid of the political votes and stuff. like that. In order,
I'm saying like a complete like a redoing of the whole thing. That like you. I
don't think so.
Yeah,
I'm going to push back on that one. I think with democracy as we have it, with the political system, I know you're going to be very cynical. And a lot of people are going to be very cynical with this.
You told me a good joke. That's why I'm laughing.
If we have vote the right people into power, but the people that have to come in cannot be a product of, I suppose, your political class. They can't be the children of politicians or the children of CEOs or these type of things. Even this, what's his name? The bloke we got now, Albo. He claims, pushes himself as a child from the flats, right? From the Housing Commission.
Yeah.
You're not acting like one, mate, because you're not looking out for the guy from the Housing Commission. So they become a product of the system.
Yeah.
So it needs some brave souls that will stand up and say, you know what, I'm not going to become a product of the system and I'm going to fight this. But the only ones that can do that are ones that don't have any history or that don't have any skeletons in their closet. That every single one of us does. I've got plenty in mind.
Give me an example of someone got to the top on a platform that broke through and revolutionary changed, no, let's use the word revolutionary, but drastically changed the system.
From within the system.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I need time away to think about that.
Yeah, there is probably
Because the
none.
ones that are coming to my mind, like Gaddafi or Shea or Castro, or not that I'm
A coup. Let's leave a coup aside.
Yeah, that's what I
A
mean.
coup is one way to do it. That's a type of revolution, right?
Are you
It's a
gonna-
military revolution,
yeah.
right?
that would never happen in the West.
It depends how hungry people get and how brutal life gets here. No, they're living on the
We are a
resources.
product of our mainstream media, the majority of the population. Until this next generation grows up or matures,
Remember January 6th
or
in
matures,
the US?
yeah, but or matures,
Mm.
we're going to get the status quo continuing. Basically, the baby boomers need to die out.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying may they will die. I'm just saying when that change happens,
Mm.
what is it? Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah,
George Orwell?
I think it has to be a turmoil, and this is how the French
Revolution.
set the
Then
pattern for
where did we end up?
huh?
Look at it now.
Yeah, republic.
It's a republic, but is it a republic now? It's almost back to a dictatorship.
Not really, but it's
Yeah, it
it's
is.
yeah,
Yeah, it is.
yeah,
Let's be real here.
yeah. In the way they push
But
around
not a
for
dictator,
Muslims
not
anyway.
a dictator,
For Muslims,
not even for the
Yeah.
common man.
Mm.
The French,
Oh, yeah,
they're
yeah.
protesting, right? So not a dictatorship in terms of one man dictatorship.
Yeah.
The system,
So they need another revolution.
political. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, so they need
Charles de Gaulle.
they need
Bring
another
back another one.
they need another revolution. Yeah, I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like, what are we talking about? And revolutions don't end nicely.
No, they don't, and they
And-
don't start nicely.
Yeah, so
So we want to avoid that.
yeah, but it could be what's the only thing the only thing that could actually fix something. If something is so bad and the actors,
think if
the actors in it are so bad and they're sucking the resources, like the way the world is going now, especially in the US and at some other parts of the world, that they are sucking all the resources. The average person is suffering, like right, and they don't care about it. Then, like, what other ways for the average person is to get their rights?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
That-
And there's a
that's
whole,
deep-
there's a
I
whole,
actually
there's a,
didn't
there's a,
even-
I'm not talking about Islamic or anything. I'm just
Yeah,
talking
we're
about
not
what's
even- that's
happened
right.
in the
I'm not
last
even
in the
comparing-
modern world, right? In the last 200
Yeah.
years, how have actually change occurred and long lasting change the benefit of the people, right? Like how is that? Like what's the example of it, right? Like it's
I'm gonna. Sorry, I'm digressing, but I'm gonna hide the logo.
they saw my one.
I'm gonna hide the logo. So we want sponsorship. We've got 35 subscribers.
Yeah. So anyway, wallahu alam, like people saying that the things will happen from the grassroots.
It is.
and-
They are
and-
happening from the grassroots.
Yeah, but there's not enough that will
Is it not enough that you're not involved
the
in?
establishment, quote unquote, wherever it may be,
I would hate to be in America because
whether it be
yeah.
they're controlling the media, whatever it is, that they will make sure that their interests are protected, which is the uber wealthy, and then they will use the media and everything else that they're Rupert Murdoch and all that to make sure their
what
interests are
blows
protected.
me away is the journalist. Did you not get into journalism for truth, to report on the truth, to, where are all those journalistic ideals that you hear from journalists?
And not just that, like you studied at university,
Yeah.
like you did well at school, supposedly,
You've got brains.
and you went and studied, and now you just like,
You sold out.
yeah. So what was the point of all the education?
Is it just for a few dollars
Yeah.
in your bank account?
Yeah. So anyway, as for
That
the
became
Palestine
very
thing, we
dark.
have to keep making dua, and
Lots of dua.
it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch.
It's frustrating and it makes you angry
Yeah.
and helpless.
Yeah.
The thing for us as Muslims is we are not helpless. We have Allah.
Yeah, I was reading Sheikh Wissam Sharqawi's article from Sydney. He's an alim, mashallah, very good alim. He's written many books, translated many books, and on his Facebook, maybe it's on his other socials as well. But he said something about
Read it out to
whether
us.
the politicians, there's a few things that he said, he's very on top of the current issues. But he said the Australian government has prohibited Muslims from send money overseas or risk being charged with specific offences. The same consequences should equally apply to Australian sponsored Israeli settlers. Australia has not prohibited money transfers to illegal settlements
Illegal by the United Nations as well,
Correct.
by the way.
Any Australian citizen should be subject to investigation, determine the scope, assist in the funding. Further, are there any settlers who carry Australian citizenship? Is the government aware of them? Why haven't they had this passport or visa cancelled? What did the politicians say when this was mentioned to them in Australia? When I think it was a prime minister or deputy prime minister, somebody mentioned. He said like they're an ally.
So they can do whatever they want.
Yeah. So those normal things don't apply, right? They don't apply there. Like
So your rules-based order just went out the window.
It's not a rule-based order. It's a human nature that those are our friends, and if you help our friends, or we cannot like prosecute our friends. It's very simple. That's how the world works. Like we've been told the rules-based.
Yeah, but if you
that's just been told. That's
yeah.
what's been told to us.
Yeah.
But now it's
the reality of it. And
the reality is
hypocrisy of
not
it
that.
coming
Like
out.
if an Australian pilot decides to go to China, and happened,
It's happened.
and what happened to him? He's basically
Yeah.
he can never come back to Australia because he'll be charged for treason.
No, he's the American pilot that trained in China and lives in Australia
Yeah.
has now been charged by the Americans and they're trying to extradite him. I don't even know
Yeah.
if they did extradite him.
Yeah. So these are the type of things that are going on, because it's not. That's why what's his name? The guy the realist philosopher. He's a realist. He goes, we're thinking that it's a really good podcast that he did with a few of them he's done now. He talks about it's a philosophy within power dynamics, which is a realism. Realism is about having as much power as possible. And he said that people are talking about democracy, and if democracy then we can ally with one democracy can ally with another democracy, because that's not true.
Yeah.
Because people are this about you have to show support, and it's about control as much of the resources and power as possible. They're finding the hard way.
It's literally about control of resources. You're right.
Resources and also territory, and about controlling and flexing muscle. That's why, like Taiwan, they had to send in Pelosi and all these people. Like,
Forget about Taiwan. You know what's happened today?
once Taiwan falls,
But what's happened today in Taiwan?
what happened?
Surrounded by Chinese warships.
Well, yeah,
Because nobody can talk about rules-based order anymore.
yes,
You have no right to say anything.
yeah. You can't tell the Yemenis don't threaten us with your things.
Yeah, and you can't tell the Chinese now don't go into Taiwan
yeah,
because that's not right.
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's quite.
It's probably the
it's
time
scary
now.
what they've.
It's if China
Dug up.
wanted to make a move for Taiwan, which is a part of China historically, if they want to do that, once China,
This is the
I keep
time.
forgetting his name, because now's the time to do it.
Xi-
And also, like once it falls, then the whole region falls. Philippines,
No,
Korea.
no,
No. Geopolitically, China has won, and America will be out of the
No.
West Pacific.
the Philippines will be.
No, have a look at the map. Have a look at the map.
strengthened to the nth degree.
No, it won't.
Yeah, well,
No, they won't.
let's see.
Yeah, they will not be
There
able-
has to be a line.
No,
There has to be a line. You
the
cannot
line
cross
is
this.
Taiwan, and if Taiwan falls, all those neighbors they will be now under the sphere of they'll be under the control of China, in the shadow of China,
No, I don't.
as it was historically. And this is what I think Paul Keating said, that historically before the industrial age, what only thing that mattered was your population. If you had more people, that means you are the stronger power. He said that technology gave an edge to Europeans, shipping and so forth. But that is changing now. Like they've caught up. They've caught up.
They've caught up.
And Taiwan, Japan, Korea, these are the backyard of China, not America. Think about it. Where the Pacific is, how far America is from the Pacific. Europeans are not going to go there. Australia will send one ship, around Indonesia. Indonesia said we don't have anything to do with this, right?
Staying out of both sides.
Yeah, because we want to do business with everybody. We want to
Joko.
and read the history of China in the region. Like when Rajas, Muslim rulers in Indonesia, sultans, when there was disputes, who was the Security Council negotiating team of that time that was sent? China. They were the regional peace brokers and so forth. That's their role in that
I don't
region.
know much about that history.
Yeah. So they call it the century of humiliation. The 19th century, they call it the century of humiliation. They've been trying to, and what the Europeans subjecting through, and through opium and what they did, they destroyed. They made 25% of, and the biggest drug dealer in the history of humanity was the British Empire.
Yeah.
And they 25% of, so they.
25% of
did you see that meeting with Putin? Z when he met with Putin, and when they shook hands and there's a statement that they make, and the translator, I read the subtitle of what actually they said. We haven't seen the likes of such cooperation or something for a century. They have a very long term,
and
they got each
deep,
other's backs now. Yeah, and that realist philosopher, he said that the best thing that could have happened for us, and this is the biggest mistake that we made, is that we've pushed Russia into the arms of China. And he said now, like basically China is indirectly at the doorstep of Europe through Russia and vice versa, and they have each other's backs. Right, and we created the situation. We put them out of the international banking system.
But they've created their own banking system now.
Exactly.
Right.
So,
even
but that statement,
even the so-called allies of the West are trading with the yuan.
And those two guys, Z and Putin, they're so ruthless and so political. For them, just release that statement saying goodbye, goodbye, friend, and we haven't seen the likes of such changes.
That's not a light statement.
Yeah,
that's got a lot of deep meaning into it.
So
Allah protect us. Allah protect the ummah.
Yeah. Like back to our old podcast, learn how do you say welcome in Chinese? So anyway.
Ni hao ma.
Yeah. On a side note, alhamdulillah,
I can't believe you remembered that.
On a side note, we started a new class with kids in the maktab. I make dua for that, inshallah.
Inshallah.
It's on isms. Different isms. So these kids have done like maktab several years with us. They've learned Quran, they've learned du'as. Now it's...
Are you looking like you're about to stand up and
we're about to finish, so we're about to go. It's getting late and I've got an hour drive after this. So he basically is to teach them, they're teenagers, prepare them for life and all the isms, they'll be atheism,
fantastic.
Liberalism, they're going to be exposed to. So we have syllabus for that. We're working on it at the moment. So make dua, inshallah. I'll share that with you in the future. It's a sort of new project, inshallah. So we're collaborating with some people and contact some people in the US and here as well. Yeah, good works, good things happening, alhamdulillah.
Okay, do you want to finish off in Urdu? Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and press the bell icon. And we will be releasing a podcast in Urdu.
We don't know yet.
Yeah, I want to do it. But let's just do one.
And say goodbye in Urdu.
Assalamu alaikum. Shabba khair. Wait, that's for night time.
Wa alaikum salam.
All right.